Friends and lovers, welcome to the Jimpressions for Assassin's Creed Origins. I almost said Assassin's Creed Oranges because I was thinking about if it would be called Assassin's Creed Oranges, but it's not. But I almost said it, but it's not. What it is alright. It's pretty good. It's a fairly good game, I'll give it that. Definitely in regards to design, taking that year break so Michael Fassbender could bore us all for 2 hours was a very good idea. The extra development has made a world that's a bit more rich, and a combat system that is still sloppy, but it is improved. They've basically tried to make it more like Zelda now, with targeting and circling and all that stuff. Although the other enemies are quite aggressive, so that makes it a little bit trickier. And like I say, it's fairly messy. Trying to close gaps between you and enemy targets can be a bit of a pain in the arse because of just how little reach the main character has. And here's an eagle. You use the eagle to scout out places that you're going to infiltrate, find hidden treasures, find targets, things to kill. Plenty of these bases, you know, it's an open world game, so there are tons of the same thing. Sorry, I should say it's a modern AAA open world game, so there's tons of the same stuff over and over again. As with plenty of modern mainstream open world games, if you like repetitive busy work, this has you covered. But it is also tempered by the fact that there are plenty of individual side quests as well, you know, with their own little stories and stuff, which a lot of open world games these days just ignore in favour of that repetitive busy work. So that's good. The stealth stuff, the tools, a lot of it is carried over, of course, from other Assassin's Creed games, but there have been some changes, especially since Syndicate from 2 years back. Like the berserk, the ability to turn enemies berserk. Now, you can unlock it pretty early, but you've got to get up right close to them to do it. That was me doing it just there. And that can be fun. It's not that efficient because you've kind of got to sit there while there's disarray in the enemy camp. And I don't know where he decided to run off to. He's off to kill some fish in a fit of rage, I think. That's what I mean about like trying to rely on poisons and berserks, all your tricks and tools. They just make things last quite a long time. I'd like if the tools were a bit more efficient, rather than the most efficient way always being to sneak into camp and really just cut some shit up. But it is a fun game. I will give it that, and I'm known for my on-off, spotty sort of history with liking Assassin's Creed games. But I did think Syndicate was a good game, probably the best of the Assassin's Creed games I'd played up to that point, and I will say I think Origins is better than that. Here I am just sneaking into a camp. There's a storyline quest in here, but it's also in a camp that is just sort of randomly in the world with its own separate objectives, which almost always include killing a captain and finding hidden treasure which has randomized loot in it. The game is very loot heavy. That seems, of course, to be the very en vogue thing this year, what with loot boxes and all. The game does have, you know, a sort of loot box system, but true to their word so far, you don't spend real world money to get them. They're like 3,000 drachmas, which is an in-game currency. Now, you can buy drachmas with real-world money. The microtransactions are there, so it is sort of in place, but it's not this sort of enforced gacha gambling system as blatant as we've seen in other games. And I do wonder whether those boxes were intended to be for real-world pay or not. Incidentally, as a matter of disclosure, I should point these things out when they're relevant. Ubisoft gave me an advanced copy of this, as you might expect, since this video comes out before launch. They gave me an advanced copy. It was a gold edition, and I decided to fiddle around with the gold edition features just to see, because obviously I rarely buy those things. I rarely buy deluxe versions of games due to the simple fact that very few of them deserve it. If you've got microtransactions in your game, and your season pass and your multiple deluxe editions and all the other ways games make money, that's when I start to think, well, you know, you're only getting base price off me, sunshine. If you have deluxe editions without that kind of stuff, then I will put my money where my mouth is and support that. But in this case, I was given a code for the gold version, and it is funny how these deluxe editions give you massive advantages sometimes. It starts you out with a weapon that deals poison damage, and melee weapons that deal poison damage are fantastic because they drain just so much health while you're whacking on them. Wasn't fast enough there. They took inspiration from Metal Gear Solid 5, where you get that short window of opportunity to kill whoever's spotted you before, you know, they raise the alarm or draw more attention. And it's a very brief window. It's not as forgiving as the default on Metal Gear Solid 5, but it can give you a little bit of a chance. These bodies that have purple clouds coming off them, if they die from poison, or if I deliberately poison them with a tool that I unlocked, like the flesh decay toxin, enemies that go over to those dead bodies with the clouds become poisoned themselves and their health drains, and that's all fun. We like to do that. As we see here, goes up to the poison, now he's all coughing and spluttering. I forget that when someone gets poisoned, they turn the opposite direction. That just seems to be a habit of theirs. Got stuck on that pole for a second. Oh yeah, bugs, we'll have to talk bugs. I'll show you the most egregious bug I found. But it's not as bad as Assassin's Creed Unity. Thank fuck for that. Before we talk bugs, let's talk about that aforementioned loot box system. This is where it comes in. You see on the compass at the top here, the blue little triangle, and then the blue camel that's just popped up. I say triangle, it's a diamond shape. This is our character here. He's the merchant, your Zer, or your headhunter from Shadow of War. The little box I'm stood on contains the purchasable randomized loot. That is, I'm basically standing on the game's loot box. And I'm also you get daily missions off this little child merchant here, the Nomad. And he sells some stuff, and I could sell stuff, and he gives you a daily mission, and if you complete that within a time limit, you normally get a couple of hours to do it. Then, so this is me giving it a try for the camera. I wish I hadn't done it, because, well, I didn't want that. I didn't want that at all, and that's very expensive. Unlike other games, they did say that was partially to address the complaint that you often get a ton of currency that doesn't mean anything. That's often just a knock-on effect of the bloody microtransactions. It's an old free-to-play gimmick. You have the bullshit currency that doesn't mean much but gives you a feeling like you're invested, and then the real premium currency that actually buys things. Here, they have done a good job with your drachmas that lets you upgrade your current weapons, buy new weapons, stuff like that. And that's where all my money's been going. Unlike any other Assassin's Creed game, I sometimes feel strapped for cash because I want to keep my legendary weapons. Oh, don't worry, with a loot-based system now, you've got your rares and your legendaries. But I want to keep my legendary weapons leveled up with me. And I appreciate that you can do that, but it is pretty pricey. Especially if you did get the gold edition and you want to keep your poison sword and your poison shield and everything. And what else do you get? You get a costume. There's lots of costumes in the game. This is an in-game unlockable costume I'm wearing, which just gives you a boss-ass lion helmet. But you can dress up like a mummy if you spend real-world money. The gold edition gave me 500 coins, so I cosplay as a mummy all the time. There he is. There's the mummy. Anyway, so this is that mission I'm doing for the Nomad Merchant. As usual, we're using Senu, the eagle, to just have a look at the camp, do some reconnaissance, as it were. Oh, I'm getting a dry mouth. That's an empty cup. I ain't wetting my whistle there. Ain't wetting my whistle that way, friendo. Anyway, let's get on with this. We're in the desert now. I do like how they've built the desert and the cities and everything. It's a nice open world. And often Ubisoft open worlds are a bit And there is some typical Ubisoft blur in this game. The storyline is, it's very Ubisoft. It's very, you know, avenging my dead family member bullshit, which is just, that's almost the driving motivation for every protagonist in any Ubisoft game. Even their driving game, even the crew has an avenge my dead family member plot. But, you know, the character's nice. Bayek, don't get the name wrong, is a good protagonist. And I like that the characters, unlike, you know, movies set in Egypt where everyone's fucking British, these guys have actual, you know, African accents and stuff like that, which just adds that level of authenticity to it, you know. There's no Ben Kingsley here, which, actually that's a little bit sad. You could have had Ben Kingsley visiting from England, actual Ben Kingsley. Let's just crack on that he's alive in these days and just visiting, travelling actor. That's why he's so good at it. When he wants to put the effort in, that's the problem with Ben Kingsley, is when he doesn't want to put the effort in. Anyway, so that was me just showing off some of the general gameplay. This is just me messing about. Just messing about at the palace, the royal palace, full of guards, plenty of things to play around with. I did like this here, jump down, assassinate, switch bows to the 3-arrow shooter. I think it shoots 3. And that's basically like your shotgun bow. It's good for the short range. With unlockables, you can, well, I say unlockables, with upgrades, you can carry 2 swords, well, 2 melee weapons and 2 bows. And I tend to go with the warrior bow, which is that short range bow with a spread, so that if you're ever caught in a pinch, you can quickly fill someone with arrows. And I like to go with the predator bow, which is a long range weapon, and you can mark targets with it, and that deals, you know, some good headshot damage. And yeah, here's the combat system sort of in all its messier glory. You notice it more. You notice the sloppiness of it more when there's a lot of enemies to deal with. One-on-one, it can feel pretty good. But like I say, it's improved over the other Assassin's Creed games, I feel. I don't feel it's quite the cack-handed mess that melee combat was in the other games. And more than ever, I would say the game is sort of loosened up on stealth restrictions and stuff. Getting outnumbered, you still don't want to do it, but getting into a ruckus, even more than Syndicate, which was already sort of diminishing the importance of stealth, here it really has become relatively unimportant. I say relatively unimportant. It's still got a cruciality to it, I suppose, but you can survive a lot more. Well, it's like all the other Ubisoft games now. It's like the stealth helps you whittle down the numbers, and then you can roll in and mop up the rest in a more violent, direct manner. And that's actually how I like to play a lot of games with stealth in them, is use stealth just to soften the target before I rock in there and slash stuff up. So it works okay for me. That one died of poison, haha. But yes, the game is fairly buggy. As I say, not as bad as Assassin's Creed Syndicate, worse than I'd expect from a game that had allegedly a lot longer development time than the other ones. I've not encountered falling through the floor and other complete game breakers like last time, but I've encountered some funny stuff, and I will end with some uncommentated footage of the most egregious one I found, which just, when you see it, it'll defy belief. We are wrapping up with just sort of the gameplay showcase and the commentation here. Commentary, for God's sake, Jim. I think I left some loot behind there, that's a shame. Just going to fight these big dudes here, guarding the place, and then that'll be that. And apologies for hearing background in the noise in the background there, I should say. It's very early in the morning, and people are getting ready for work and schooling and that, so doors are being slammed, and people doesn't matter that I'm recording. So, just going to fight this big un here, and then I'm going to sign off and show you, well, brace yourself for what you're about to see. Jesus Christ.